What's up, everybody? Hey, another edition of The Scattered Chef. I'm Gabe Spencer. Today I got something really great for you guys. Today we're going to be making homemade wheat bread. Let's jump in. All right, guys, let's jump into the ingredient list for this awesome bread. First things we're going to need, 3 cups of hot water. The hot water I'm telling you about needs to be between 104, 107 degrees exactly. With this temperature, it's going to allow that yeast to bloom and actually come alive. And then it's also not so hot that it's going to kill it. So 3 cups of water, hot water. Next, we're going to need 3 cups of white flour. This is a unbleached white flour, super high quality. Don't chintz out and just get the cheap flour. Go for the good stuff. Next thing is 3 cups of stone ground wheat flour. We're going to do a 1/4 cup of avocado oil. And I'm trying not to spill this stuff. And then we're going to do about 1/3 cup of sugar and 2 yeast packets. Now, this is enough to do 2 loaves of bread. If you want to just make one, cut all these ingredients in half. Let's get rolling. All right, guys, so first thing, good steel bowl. I'm going to take my white flour, dump this in here. We're going to combine the white flour and the wheat flour together. I'm gonna go ahead and combine this really good, stir this all together. One thing I forgot to mention to you guys in my ingredient list is a little bit of salt. So what I want you guys to do is just add just about a teaspoon of salt. Mix this in here really good. And once you get this all combined and mixed really well, we're gonna set this off to the side. All right, next, we're gonna bring in the mixer, all right? So, that 104 degree to 107 degree water, we're gonna go ahead and dump this into our mixer here. And then we're gonna go ahead and add our sugar. Now I need to mix this sugar in to where it's completely diluted into this because we're getting ready to add our yeast. And the yeast is what, the yeast actually eats the sugar, and when it's releasing those gases, that's what's gonna make your bread rise. So I don't know the exact science to it all. I just know it works. So I'm sure some of you guys out there are gonna go, that's not what it is. It's not what that is. I mean, you can leave some comments, but maybe you'll teach me something. I just know I got tired of buying bread. I actually had some bread that I bought from the store, and the stuff stayed good for almost 2 years without molding. It was after that, I was actually turkey hunting and left some in my boat, and it literally did not mold forever. I didn't open it ever, and I just finally threw it away after almost 2 years. So I'm gonna tell you what, guys, I don't know what they put in that stuff, but that was enough for me to go, I'm just gonna make my own bread. And I just taught myself how to do it, and this recipe works really well. I make it every week. I make 2 loaves a week. Normally eat half of it the first day. So I've got all that diluted in there. Next thing, I wanna go ahead and add my yeast packets. So this is just some Anthony's active dry yeast. I buy a big giant bag of it on the Amazon, and get this all nice and put in. It's 2 yeast packets. And I'm just gonna give this a quick stir till all that yeast is down in the water. Get that nice and mixed up, right? Okay. Now, what's happening is that yeast is coming alive. It's gonna start eating the sugars. So when I start adding my flour slowly and my oil, it's gonna actually combine this and make this into a dough, which we're gonna knead out a little bit. We're gonna cut it up, then we're gonna let this thing rise for an hour. So first thing, my KitchenAid. You can do it by hand. I've never done it by hand, but you're gonna probably have some big, like, strong forearms if you do it. Dough hook, very, very crucial here. And what I do, I just turn it on low. I get my oil out, and I just want to add just a hair bit of oil at a time, and I want to incorporate these ingredients very slowly. So you can see down in here, we're just going to start adding this in. If you have the mixer on high speed, ask me how I know. I'm wearing a black shirt, which is dumb when I'm making bread, but it'll throw flour all over your kitchen and hack everybody off. So we just want to add it slow there. Let it mix in. And just keep an eye on it, and you're gonna start seeing it where it's gonna, and I might speed it up a hair here. I just wanna start incorporating all that flour, in my flour mixture into my water yeast mixture there. So takes a minute, take your time with it. This machine's gonna do all the work. All that hard work you would normally sit there and do, or maybe like your grandparents did, and they sat there and just worked that dough out, right? You don't have to do that. That's why we got the KitchenAid. Pick one up, or just any mixer, I guess. All right, so that's starting to incorporate really well. I'm gonna add a little bit more oil first, and I'm just gonna keep going a little bit of oil, more flour, more oil, more flour until I'm completely out. And I'll kind of gradually up that speed of that mixer a little bit. Just start incorporating it in, speeds up the process just a hair. Don't go too fast on it. Just use some common sense. I'm kind of taking my fork, knocking some of the dry pieces away from the edge of my mixing bowl here. Again, now I'm going to add a little bit more avocado. You don't have to use avocado oil. I'm just a huge giant fan of avocado oil. I think it's pretty good for you, and kind of tastes like butter a little bit. So now I'm going to start getting some more in there. And just add it little bits at a time. I normally do like a quarter of the bowl at a time. And you're gonna start seeing it thicken up. That's what it's doing now. You can see in this mixer, it's really starting to thicken up a little bit. Starting to get that good dough texture to it. Pretty good. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add some more oil. Starting to really look like bread here. A little bit more. Now this mixer that I'm using is a super old mixer. It's been passed down a lot of times, but so I have to kind of hold it together, but I can't get rid of it. It's just one of those things, like it's got a lot of history to it. So I've thought about getting a new one, but I don't think that I would use it. So I really appreciate this mixer. It's so great. These KitchenAids will last forever. So if you guys can look down inside this, you can actually see I'm watching the side of this dough on how it's reacting with the side of the bowl here. So it's starting to really release away from that. So now I'm going to add the rest of my oil. I'm going to add the rest of my flour. It's going to try to jump away from you. You can see it's... All right, so you can see I already got a mess here. I'm telling you, I will blow a kitchen to pieces. All right, so now it's starting to release itself away from the edge of that pot, or that bowl here. I'm gonna kick that speed up, and now I'm gonna let that mixer really start doing the work. So that kneading stage of the dough, we're gonna break this down. I normally let it mix like this for about 3 minutes. This mixer's old, but like I said, I can't get rid of it. I think if I replaced a little piece in the bottom, it would work, but it makes me respect it. It'll get away from me sometimes. It's pretty entertaining. All right, you can see the dough. See how it's kind of reacting down the bottom there? You'll start seeing it change shape. I don't want it, I want to do this until it really starts to release from that dough hook and start sticking back to the, there it goes. So it's starting to stick back to the bowl now. That's what I'm looking for. It's not going to completely stick to the bowl, but you can start seeing it in the bottom down there. It's starting to stick. And if you guys want to put some comments in the bottom of this to tell me what's going on in my flour, maybe I think it's gluten. I'm not sure what the chemical breakdown is this. I know there's some guys out there, some ladies out there that are really good at baking bread. You guys are probably going to pick me apart at it, but I'm going to tell you what, this recipe is super easy. I have a lot of people that want me to give them the recipe, so here you go. So that's how I judge it. So it's starting to come loose. It's starting to stick to the bottom of this bowl. Get it off of that dough hook. All right. I'm going to get this off of this dough hook here. Much of that stuff there. Cool. You can see the giant mess, of course. I mean, cooking's kind of fun. It just kind of tears some stuff up. All right, so I'm done with this Gorilla mixer. Okay, so now that our dough is already mixed together, looks perfect, smells great already. I'm gonna take on my cutting board here, I'm gonna put a little bit of flour out here so that when I roll this out, it's not going to stick to my cutting board. All right. Now we're just gonna take this bread here. Bang, just like that. Now I'm gonna get my rolling pin and I'm just gonna start rolling this out into a circle. And what I'm doing is I'm breaking out some of the air pockets in it. Again, I am not a professional at this, but the bread always turns out great, so this is what I do. And people geek out on some bread making. I know they do, so don't pick me apart too bad. So from here, I'm gonna go ahead and fold this in. I don't like a ton of excess flour on this. And I pinch this all together. Keep bringing this in, like this. Like that. Now I just form this into a ball, tuck it under here, nice and smooth. Get a little love pat. Take my steel bowl, get your fingers underneath it like this, and we're just gonna plop it right down the middle. We're gonna take a towel, and just a dry towel, we're gonna lay over the top of this, and we're gonna let this rise for an hour. All right, so I'm gonna get a towel on this, and I will show you guys what this looks like after it rises. We're gonna then break it back down, we're gonna roll it out again, then we're gonna let it rise the second time. So 2 rises in this. It does take a little bit of time, guys, but it's definitely worth it. So let me get to that. All right, guys, so we let this rise for an hour. I'm gonna peel this back. As you guys see, rose up pretty nice. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put a little bit of flour out here back on my cutting board, and just so I don't want this dough to stick. And I'm just gonna scrape this out of my bowl right onto my cutting board. Now I want to push all this air out of it. I'm gonna flatten this back out. Get my rolling pin. I'm gonna fold this back in, kind of like we did the first time. I just work these corners back in like this. Work those corners in. I'm gonna make that same ball like I made before. All right, and it all back in. Bunch all that up in the bottom, kind of crimp it together. We've got the same thing we had last time, right? Now, some people weigh it out, some people do different things. I don't get that scientific with it. I just take my knife, my kitchen knife, eyeball it, go right down the middle. Because remember, I'm making 2 loaves, right? So I'm gonna take this first one here, I'm gonna set it off to the side. Now I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna flatten this back out, get my rolling pin on it, and I'm gonna really wanna work this through. I wanna get all those air bubbles out. I don't wanna cut into my bread later and there'd be big air pockets. So if you encounter that, that's what's going on either, and I'll show you here in a second, where if you, like this one, I didn't work it really hard. You can see where it's got a bunch of air. If I was to bake this, it would have giant air bubbles in it. I don't want that. So I'm gonna work this out, and I'm gonna roll this really tight. And this is the shape that I'm looking for. I kind of want that kind of elongated shape. I'm not going for that round shape here. And you can see some of the little small air bubbles in there. Work those out as best you can. Now, what I've done here is I've got a cast iron bread pan. I've already buttered it in the middle. That way it's definitely non-stick. Now I'm gonna take this and I'm just gonna slowly, as you see, I work it in like this. I may throw a little flour on it, and I'm just working that in. You can see what I'm doing with the right side of my fingers here. I'm working that dough in. I'm squeezing as I'm doing it. I'm getting the air out. I'm keeping all that nice and tight as I'm rolling this up. I'm gonna crimp this on the bottom. Down here on the end, I wanna make sure that I have this sealed up. So I'm gonna pull it this way. Same thing. You can hear some of those air bubbles pop. Push all this in. Same thing here. Bring that back around, tuck it in. So when I flip it over, that's the shape that I'm looking for. It's just a little bun, right? Just like that. Perfect. That's what I'm looking for, right there, that shape. I'm gonna take that, I'm gonna get it kind of plop down in the bottom of my bread pan. I kind of give it a toss into there. And then what you can do to give it a little decoration, take your knife and you can just draw a design in the top of it. Whatever, you might do this, little X, maybe a couple little there. What I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna do the other one, same way, and I'm gonna go ahead and get those covered up and we're gonna let them rest and rise another hour. Then we're gonna put them in the oven for about 20 minutes. We're ready to go. So check that out, isn't that awesome? Bun in the oven, right? Here we go. Stay tuned, we'll get this rocking and rolling, get it covered up and we'll be back. Okay guys, so now it's rose for the second time. I'm gonna go ahead and peel the veil off of these. And there's our two loaves looking awesome. You can see that the designs that we had cut in there, they look absolutely great. Perfect every single way. I've got my oven preheated to 425. I'm gonna put these in the oven for about 20 minutes, 22 minutes. We're gonna pull them back out. I'm gonna show you exactly what this looks like. The house is gonna smell absolutely amazing. Fresh bread. I mean, nothing beats that, right? So I'm gonna jump it in the oven and show you what's going on. I'm gonna set my timer. I'm gonna set it for 22 minutes. Let that roll, hang out, wait for this to go off. It's gonna be awesome. The house is getting ready to smell great. So stay tuned. We'll bring this back out in the next scene and you guys are gonna see what's really going on here. All right, timer just went off. If you guys could smell this, like scratch and sniff or just smell vision, you guys would be beside yourself. Here we go, first peek in here. Look at that. That's what I'm talking about, perfect. This sounds great. I'm gonna get these up here on the counter. Here's the second one, see how it looks. Oh yeah. I love doing that knife work in the top of them. Just gives it something just a little bit different. Every single one of them turn out different. Just looks awesome. Okay, so got them out of the oven. First thing that I want to do is get them out of this pan. And I just flip them upside down. Dump them right out of the pan. Just like that. Now, it's very tempting to cut into these just right away. I'd like to let them cool for just a minute because they are super hot. If I go in and cut into them, they can kind of fall apart. It's so hard to not do because man, that hot bread coming out of the oven, put some hot butter on it, which we're getting ready to do, is just gonna be fabulous. So I'm gonna let these cool for a minute. We'll be right back and get these cut and see what's going on the inside and then do a little taste test and close this sucker out. So, all right guys, so we got both these nice loaves done. Beautiful, you can see the tops of them. I've let them cool for about 10 minutes. I'm gonna cut into one and really see what we've got. And I'm telling you, they smell absolutely amazing. So you can see here, no air pockets in it, nice and solid. Got a 50-50 mix on white flour and wheat flour. It's gonna have awesome flavor. I'm gonna cut another little slice here. And I'm gonna show you what I put on this. And you guys can put all kinds of stuff from jelly to butter or whatever. This is what I like. Goat butter. And this goat butter, it's not anything crazy. I picked this up. It is a little bit pricey. There's a store here locally here in East Texas that carries it. And once I got on it, I can't get off of it. It is just, it doesn't have like a barnyardy taste to it, but it's just got a different type of flavor profile that is absolutely amazing. I'm gonna grab some of this. So you can see that inside there. I mean, it's just absolutely perfectly made. Again, I am not a baker, I just learned to make bread about a year ago, and just out of really necessity. And it took me a few times to really get it down. Practice this recipe, guys. It's not hard. I'm gonna get a little butter on this. Look at that. A little of that softened butter, that goat butter on there. Just melts it right in there. Awesome. Get a little butter on it. Give it a try. There's nothing better than homemade bread. I'm gonna tell you, like, we make a lot of stuff here in this kitchen. One of my absolute favorite things to have is homemade bread. I mean, works so well, so versatile. It doesn't stay good long. I would say probably 7-8 days. You're gonna have to throw it away or just eat it fast enough. This other one, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it in a Ziploc bag, a 1-gallon Ziploc. I'm gonna throw it in my freezer so that next week I still have another one. So every other week I'm making 2 loaves. Works really well here at my house. Guys, I thank you for watching this show. I really appreciate all the support that we're getting. Thank you. My name is Gabe Spencer. This is The Scattered Chef. Make sure to smash on that subscribe button. Share this video. Talk to your friends about it. Make some comments. Let me know your thoughts on everything. Love to help you guys answer any type of questions. Again, Gabe Spencer, Scattered Chef, and I will catch you guys on the next one.